There's nothing wrong with making knowledge available to others, and there's nothing wrong with continuously checking and rechecking all one's information and evidence. It's just like polishing the sword for the samurai. That's all it is. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Practicing, taking it out, using it. It's right. It's what philosophers are supposed to do. It's what the cowards at the universities are not doing. So it's what the cowardly academics won't do. Got it, check. So I'm not going to be wearing their fancy get-ups. I don't explain why I do what I do, because the important thing is what I'm doing. But I do explain things in the process of doing it. But what I do itself, like for example, I choose to use a certain way of presenting information. I do it differently in different contexts. Sometimes for a formal reason, sometimes not. Some of my symbolism is inherited from actual content that exists in a field that you can find in texts that experts can attest to. These are symbols about possibility and necessity. Of course, we know the not symbol. That's the implication arrow. That generally stands for some operation. It's a general operator. You can quantify your variables, and then you can assign your variables to properties and entities and characteristics and qualities and states, conditions, and all sorts of other predicates. And depending on how you use these functions, attributes and predications. Subjects can be categorized in many ways, but the modalities of doing it are pretty standardized in various ways, and I will take liberty to alter how some of them are used and invent new ones as I go along, as needed, as felt needed. I'm not defending my thesis against some corrupt, asinine, pseudo-intellectual bookworm bastard, and nor any panel of them. No greasy secret society, haunting, creepy, fake person is fit to judge my work anyway. Even if for some temporary, even for some time I happen to study, quote, under, unquote, their supervision in any way, or ever will again, or no matter who they are. There have been those characters, but look, if you don't understand here, I'll put it like this. If somebody does not understand what Descartes meant by infinity in his meditations on first philosophy, and don't understand that I understand it, I'll know, because when I try to explain what I think he means by it and where I stand on the matter and why, they immediately disjoint the discussion into their no. Well, look, if nothing's just straightforward no in philosophy, we would have figured that out by now. I know how to spot somebody who's just holding on by their fingernails like Wild E. Coyote on the edge of a cliff in a subject, and when they're actually a master of it. Well, anyway, I'm not going to talk about that beef anymore, but there are some cowardly fools that totally infest academia, and as a result of that and their extremely dubious and unscrupulous associations and other activities, they just have way too much inflated power. They shouldn't. Their expertise is specious at best. And it totally depends on the corrupt framework of power that we have in the world today, which is nothing more than delusion, ensconced with inertia to stupidity, basically. Something's going to repeat and keep happening like a revolving door, because it just doesn't know better. It's built that way. That's that kind of power they have. Dumb power at best, not authority. So understanding the permutations of possibility and necessity, negation, and assertion, implication, bidirectional implication, notions of matrix products between different types of categories of things and their influence upon one another or some other thing to reach a result which can imply something about something else as being necessary for it. In this case, the natural needs or any needs of any type of group, or defining a norm for whether or not relationships in that and other groups are considered normal or healthy or right. There's a standard form that might take place, and then there are distortions that can happen in it because it's based on a type of experience had or claimed to be had, which reflects people's qualifications and decisions about relationships in reality of any kind, social or otherwise, and then they assert that, and then they try to make that code, and then they try to convince enough people to act based on that as a premise so that they get results that they think, if we shall say, even not fallaciously, they think support their claim. We might prefer to say that they are reaching for the evidence they need to look right to themselves after they blasted away all the evidence to the contrary in some way, formed it or faced it. Basically, most of history is a ritual of denying the opposition, even if it's right or true or good, and those who do that the best consider themselves victorious, and then they set the norms which then make it impossible for people to avoid being hobbled and stunted by their corruption developing in that world, that aftermath of evil's temporary victory, and then it just keeps escalating until it avalanches into, cascades into end case or end game or final battle type scenario where it cannot continue that way, and it can't continue in any way because it's critical. It has to change fundamentally. Well, it's good to be able to describe all these kind of things in terms that are at least approaching precision or making the attempt. It's good to condense a lot of prose into a few symbols sometimes, whether artistic or whether intuitive purely or in some way, or really whether it's logical or poemic, we should say. Maybe. Logical or poemic, whether or not it is in any given form, the important thing is that it assists, it adds to the circulation and metabolism of somebody's character and personality on a spiritual plane so that they can better deal with reality as it confronts them. People are presumed to have a certain amount of confidence. Well, they should at least endeavor to live up to it. I didn't ask for the oppression, suppression, and corrupt dealings behind my back, which put me in the position I'm in right now. So I don't need to explain or justify why I'm able to conduct this operation the way that I am. And also, the way that I do it, or any accoutrements or symbols or methodologies I use, I don't explain really generally either, because beside the point. If I got a stick and I'm scratching in the sand, or if I'm, if right now my conditions are up or down, it's just really no concern of anybody else's or of the subject. That's why I never bring it up. I never bring it up. I never talk about my personal life, what I'm going through, except in very rare circumstances, and less as we go along, because we're past all that. I'm not talking about my experiences per se in a way that's anecdotal and reflective very much. I'm usually referring to third-party material. That's where it's going to keep going and keep going. And each person getting involved is going to be more and more thrown onto their own weight. Their weight's going to be thrown rather more and more onto their own backs, and they're going to have to carry their own load. And I'm just going to keep presenting ways that they can assist themselves in doing that. And for those who can't avail themselves of it, it's a free market of ideas. Go find something that works for you. But if someone's going to spout dogma nonsense, I'm definitely not going to put up with it. I don't care if you're a troll or not. I'm not interested. May as well be official about that. Let's just say you take a skilled craftsman or tradesman in anything. You don't want to hear what you have to say about it unless he knows that you're above him in skill in craftsmanship. And only under certain conditions, not just because of that. I'm not interested. I don't care. It's not just to avoid trolls or misleaders or demons or other fools or whatever that there are out there in whatever kind. Who knows? There are all kinds of fools. But it's because that's accomplished also. But what the main point is I'm just busy. Look, I'd rather be reading, say, this or this or any number of other things I got that I'm busy with than listening to some damn fools like so-and-so the Baptist. I give not a shit about him and his King James Bible. Not a shit. Free will Baptists, baptisms. I don't care about that. I have studied religions. I have participated in religions. I don't have time for somebody's little bitty tiny world. I confronted priests with their ignorance in different religions. I don't have time to hear somebody's fantasy about his own little favorite little corner of the universe. It ain't going to happen. Don't mean anything about me other than I'm busy. I don't have time for it. I've done my research. I've done my work. I'm not listening to people's nonsense. I don't have time for it. It's not a matter of insulation. I don't care. I'm not taking criticisms about this. I don't care about that. It's not what I'm doing this for. Dude, whoever you are, ever, I don't care. I really don't. I cannot care. I have sat with, stood with, spoke with some of the most intelligent people who walk on two legs. I know what people can do with minds, their own and others. I know what I can do with mine. And others can attest to it if they be found and if they be concerned, which won't be the case. But they did exist and do exist. It's not about that. Okay, and I'm not here to get truth or knowledge from ignoramuses. So I'm not granting any space for it. No. So trolls or basically what trolls are, they're just controlled opposition. They're just idiots. That's all they are. That's all they are. They're just idiots. Even if no one actually said, hey, I pay you to do this stupid shit that you're doing, they do it for free. They're that incredibly worthless. Like, I will just be deleting, ignoring, blowing that off, because I know that you're all paid or just incentivized by your own pettiness to be interested in how I feel or think or react to your crap. Just know in general, I'm just going to see it and just be done with it. And if I see comments made on things that I've commented on or whatever, just to get my attention back to that, I'm just ignoring it. If it's positive or negative, I'm ignoring it. I'm blowing it completely off. If I figure out, or decide to look into how to just mute that permanently, I will. I'm not going to stop making comments even if I know that no one's ever seen them. Even if I live in a solipsistic universe and I'm the only actual mind in it, and I'm just creating my own reality like a Krishna in his own dimension or something, so be it. I'm still going to have the same policy. I'll make comments as I see fit. I'll put my word out there. People will see it and do what they want with it. But guess what? None of that's going to involve me taking feedback from idiots. I know what constitutes genuine feedback. I know. It's not up to anyone else but me anyway. But I do know. It's not about getting feedback. I'm not doing this to get feedback. I don't need feedback. I don't even want feedback. You want feedback. And even if you're positive, you want to know, for example, perhaps whether or not I meant X, Y, or Z by A, B, or C. Well, I might tell you if you ask. If you genuinely seem to actually want to know. If you're just a goddamn troll pretending to care, and I sniff that, or if I just even believe it, I'm just not going to react because I don't have time for the bullshit. You don't have time to pick up a logic textbook and read it? Fine, I get that. Some people don't. If you're a good person and you want to understand how logic works, I've got some logic videos coming up. If you're a crap-ass troll or something, or one of these, electronic gang stalkers, go fuck yourself. I make nothing for you. Everything I say is another nail in your metaphysical coffin. If you don't understand that, good. I mean, if you do, then rightly, because I don't care either way, but if you understand and you know it's true, you don't need to pretend with me. If someone puts you on a budget, you're on a budget. If you don't get a feces smelling lollipop, if you don't do X, Y, and Z, then I know that to get that, you're going to do X, Y, and Z. If someone gives you some nasty thing that they cooked up in a drug laboratory for you to inject into your neck vein, and you like that, you're going to do it. And if that's the reward for doing crappy things to other people, you'll do it. And if for some reason they decide to, hey, put a bounty on me for doing X, Y, Z, and do it, and there you go. That's what you'll do. Just like any other robot. I'm not impressed with that. I mean, you're more low life than a peasant at that point. A peasant usually has a farm to work on and they're busy. I mean, these cities these days, they breed all kinds of filth. We didn't want to get into what's under cities, or what's in military bases, or under them. Revealed ones or secret ones. But you people out here in the public that we call sheeple, and well, I like to call whores because that's what people are. Who you can be a professional, but if you're a professional for, say, some evil group of people, and you're doing evil things like psychologists or psychiatrists, or really pseudo-professionals to begin with. If you're doing evil things like torture and experiment on people in any way, shape, or form, or helping or assisting in the analysis of information resulting from that, or any way giving feedback on that, you're fucking foul, and you need to be taken to a ditch. That's all I can say for you. You're sick. And there's a lot of people like that, so they're whores. They're the lowest kind of whore. I'm going to put it like this. The top of the pyramid of whores is a woman literally selling her body for whatever purpose, just for economic purposes. If it has anything to do with children, and if her union with whatever caused that child to exist in her was at all valid, he should be there to help support that child. If there's love there, there's nothing. There's really, I don't agree with MGTOW on this. When they talk about, I don't really actually agree. It can be. I think it's a forced argument. It's forced. I'm not hypnotized by the mystique of all the romantic drama that's been dredged up by artists to justify their confusions and everyone else's way of adding their distortions to that. I just don't buy into the idea that it's automatically to be inferred by analogy that being female is being a whore. But that's what a lot of MGTOW says. It's basically the differences there sexually. It's for a biological purpose. It incentivizes in a strong way involving sex men to do, in society in general, to do things for the sake of women and children. And women in lieu of children, but also women for their own sake, either in view of their sexual and the reproductive value being higher than whatever. One egg, they make only so many eggs, and then so many sperm, and then it's been blah, 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 blah. Well, guess what? Biology set that up. That's not some dogma that got set up by people. But getting away from all that, sexual warfare, if basically whores are people who market what should have, market something in a way that's undignified compared to its actual, in other words, there's a spiritual implication at stake, and it's being marred by the way that they're presenting themselves or some value they have, the way that they're acting in the world at all, in any way. Anything you're doing, saying, or thinking at all, any moment of existence. If it brings into disrepute the values and the substance which make that activity itself even possible, that's a kind of biting the hand that feeds you on a metaphysical level. And that's disrespectable, and that's why the word whore was invented. Period. That's what it really means. It means to debase the value of something by being too damn petty and unworthy of it in the first place, to take proper care of it and utilize it and relate to it in the right way. That includes also what's done to the earth, the environment, your time, your energy, everything. It's either for the right or the wrong. Basically, you end up working for the chief evil mind and the inventor and lover of the lie, or truth and reality, goodness, beauty, justice, righteousness, innocence, harmony, real harmony. All these good things are your master. It's one or the other. And people who use things that come from the one to serve the other are whores. They're whores. They're adulterers and they're whores. And they're prostitutes of the worst kind. That's it. So psychologists and psychiatrists involved in any of this kind of torture profiteering that's going on in the name of experimental science or national security, whatever your pathetic excuse. You are worthless whores. Do you know that? I don't care how much you study. I don't care who you think you are. You fail to engage with reality properly. The words coming out of your mouths mean nothing, even as you speak them. They're empty vessels, echoing things that did not originate from within you, and you should be shattered immediately. Empty vessels. Time's almost up. But hey, stupid is as stupid does, keeps banging into the same wall until it doesn't work anymore, can't do it anymore. Well, this wall ain't gonna break. I'm talking about the wall of truth. Not my body and my mind, my physical mind, my human mind. Time would do ravages you can't imagine anyway. Who knows? Accident, fate, the evil of the universe would have its way. On all of us. No one's going to escape. I don't care how many trillions you steal from the economy and then reinvest in some black ops involving a bunch of skanky, evil prostitute whores in all fields that you can feel special. Ooh, look what we did to everyone and they didn't do it to us first. Yeah. But if we're too much cowards to actually just tell them we're doing it and that we have the right and they better submit, put it in this little fine print. We hide it, we slip it in the sides. And we use psychotronics to basically put an electromagnetic brain brace on them, if you will, in certain areas of attention, the ability to process certain emotions or urges, and all of this to set about a false sort of stability that, if attenuated, modulated in any way, would lead to alterations equivalent to changing the dosage of some type of drug that was doing that work. It would be a native neurotransmitter or some artificial induced alteration in the brain chemistry sometimes. Or any other modality of intervention in the operation of the brain. If it's electromagnetic, it's no different. Just it's a different vector of this cause, yet reaching basically the same effect, and systematically the same effects. The action might be a little different, but basically the brain is the brain. That's going on. You have nothing more than an ersatz world. I mean, it's just ersatz. It's just thrown together in front of you like it's something. I'm sure some people would love to say, this is ersatz because they're ignorant. They're not logic. Or symbolic thinking. Don't feel sorry for them. But this is not ersatz. And also, what is ersatz is a world where people can basically mutilate you and then call it medicine. So if you think that's medicine, then all I can say is you either really don't believe what you're saying, are intelligent and evil, or you believe what you're saying, and then your conditioning has gone to a point that you are probably not able to recover from it. Because 1984, double-think's got nothing on what's going on in your mind. If you think brain damaging, assaults on another person on medicine, or if you think lying and performing psychological warfare on a person is part of the process of psychological healing and integrating a person into society. And if you think that what's going on out here, including these people I'm talking about, passes for society, you don't have to worry about the rabbit hole because you're already at the bottom of it. You don't have to watch the Twilight Zone. You're living in it. Well, I've spoken for 1 hour and 50 minutes, just about. I think I've expressed clarified some things that I probably would not have spoken of before or ever again, so covered a lot of ground that way. I'm going to put this along with the other Gnostic Truth video. The first one is going to be the second one. It's just an addendum to that, really. And nothing's changed when it comes to truth. Does not change. The conditions of its expression and understanding might change under certain contexts, but it itself does not change. And I am dedicated and devoted to that with no let up and no diminishment at all, ever. And those who have opposed it have done so at their own peril, because you cannot defeat truth and reality. It cannot be done. And if what they hold on to and maintain is truth and reality, well, I piss on that. Because an evil truth and an evil reality is piss, as far as I'm concerned. So foul and to be done away with. It's ridiculous. Fakes have to be called out. Reality has to be maintained. There's an inherent value in that. You can't accept the wolf and the sheep as the same. You can't accept the wolf and your loyal companion, the dog, as the same kind of being. If something is wrong with your eyes or your mind or your heart so that you can see them as the same, that's the problem in you. It will never matter to the ultimate nature of reality, that dog or that wolf, basically, in their essence, how you view them. They're what they are. It matters to your faith. So you've been given an opportunity in time and space to make a proper decision, a morally proper decision about how to relate to the things in your world. And if you fail to categorize them and relate to them correctly, that's one thing, and that's bad enough. But if you do so in an office of authority, presumed authority, there's no more getting away with this. There's no more getting away with this. It's over. You don't get to have unmitigated power. You just don't. It doesn't even matter if people pretend to give it to you. You're never going to have it. You're never going to have unmitigated power. Are you insanely dumb? Cackling and laughing like you're some kind of evil god or goddess. What a joke. You don't have power. You're dust in the wind. Anytime the mob gets angry enough, anytime your psychotronic control grid even goes offline or malfunctions, you're fucked. Alex Jones, the character that reflects Alex Jones in the new X-Files series, in the continuation. He says about it in the episode. He talks about, this is not Alex Jones, but a character that's sort of based on him. He talks about a strategic EMP, or it's not him, it's Mulder that mentions it. Strategic EMPs being let off to catalyze events that will be then responded to by the emergency powers available to those who have the material and personnel to do those things. And that will lead to a state of affairs involving people being rounded up or below. Those EMPs, if any EMP goes off over any country that has a psychotronic control grid, do you even, we're not even talking about the electronic control grids. What will happen to them? You don't know that there's a psychotronic control grid. Well, I'm sorry for you. Kind of am, because you have not been fairly informed about the world in which you live. Psychotronics has been a reality since the early 1800s, minimum. Now it's very systematic. If you think very carefully about the way electronics devices have evolved, it looks quite like they were evolved specifically to enable total surveillance of everyone connected to them and very strong coercive, if mainly because covert influence over their bodies and minds. But that second part is less well advertised or understandable by people because it involves a more intrusive mechanism that is, for the most part, invisible and kept secretly attached to and functional within technology which is pervasive in the infrastructure and daily life of people, covered by the front of their explicit purpose, acting as a covert and hidden, the dual, the other purpose. And that's their main purpose, but the ants aren't told the main purpose for what's done to them. That's not for them to know, or even they can't know. But if you knew this, put it this way, you can't know it and be the same. You can't know this, like know it, like be in the control room where they flip the dials. You can't know it and be the same. You have to make a decision. You're either going to go along with this or you're going to resist it and fight it. You can't not make that decision. Now, people that evade knowing about it are cowards, they're pathetic. I don't know how you deserve to exist, but you can't be I can't share a society with you. I can't talk to you. I can't talk to people that look away from evil things and then let the words come out of their mouth that suggest they can judge anyone. I can't do it. I can't look at you. You're an animal if you do that. You're an animal. I want to tell you that. But it makes no sense to tell you. It's like looking at a cat and going, you're a cat. And looking at a dog and going, you dog. I feel silly even though I do that. I mean, knowing. I see some of you, and I always wondered before why I felt that way, and it dawned on me that there's some reasons because they act like that. But I come to find out it's because they are, because of how they are not moral beings. They talk about morality and have no morality. That's it. That's the end of the case right there. They do one thing after saying the other, the opposite. They say one thing and then they do the other, the opposite. And it doesn't even matter if they even know what they said. They're going to do that. They're going to do what they're programmed to do with carrots and sticks. Bread and stimulus. Excitement, whether through fear or incentivized as pleasure. Or disincentivized as pain. Whatever. Read books. Don't read the internet. That's painful and damaging for your body and eyes. Read your hundreds of books. Read Skinner and Watts. Read Watson. Read Curler. Read Freud. Read Jung. Read Assagioli. Read Sheldon. Read them all. Read more than I could ever dream to read. Read Lorenz. Get as much psychology, primary source material as you can. All the philosophers of the classics, the classical school that wrote on the mind. I mean, they all have something to say on psychology until this very day. I mean, read, crying out loud, before wasting any time trying to inform me of anything. God damn, put yourself through the work. Otherwise, just take what you can. And if you can't take anything, don't. No one's forcing you. I don't develop psychotronic weapons so that I can bombard your mind subconsciously with what I think every night. I'm not the asshole here. You don't have to go to my channel, whoever you are out there. I don't even care. It all comes down to each person finding it in themselves anyway. That's why it is said to each his own. I can't make this up. It's the way reality is. You're unhappy with some things you've done, some of you. So you're looking for a scapegoat. Tough shit. You're not going to have one. It doesn't work that way. That's what your religion told you. That God likes scapegoats. Well, guess what? That's not reality. That's not real reality. If you did evil, you're going to pay for it. It doesn't matter who you fool. You're never going to fool the higher heavens that watch over everything, including the fake heavens below them, which are the ones that involve lying, deception, control, ignorance, blindness, hypocrisy, fakeness. So you're never going to have victory. Your hell's going to last, I can predict this for you. Your hell will last as long as it takes for you to admit defeat. That's how long. You want to talk inquisitions? That's an inquisition. And it's all brought on by yourself. There's not going to be someone doing it to you. You're doing it to yourself now by your choices. It's not arbitrary. It's not socially decided. There's no group that makes you go through this because of any reasons, right or wrong. It's built into the nature of things. You have to receive what you create. You have to own what you did, what you're doing. And it doesn't matter if you have a conscience or if you're a psychopath or so. It doesn't even matter. Hey, if your sausage, if your various meats cut off of a dead animal, then that's what you are. But the meat grinder is going to turn you into sausage anyway. And if you could have been a real living being that loved right and truth, well, try not to seem so much like a being that doesn't. Try to act like that being. Try to figure out what that even means and come to a standard on your own. Don't even take from me what that means. You think I took it from someone else what that means? Because I sure didn't. I'd like someone to claim to be the person who brought me to that state, because I don't know of a single person who did. Not one. And people helped as far as they can in different ways, and they did hindering from then on out in many other ways. They just obstructed, or they just offered nothing about it that I needed, and then I moved on and I found more. And most of what I kept finding after a certain point was what I didn't like. Wouldn't have wished it on any universe. There it is, whether I like it or not. I'm not doing that for anyone else. I'm not a martyr. I'm not a savior. I'm not a prophet. I'm not a priest. I'm not a leader. I'm damn sure not a follower. But I'm just doing what I can based on what I like to do anyway, and would have been doing anyway, whether or not anyone ever tried to prevent me, and whether or not I lived in a good or evil universe. It just makes sense. I mean, if you basically got only the choice of figuring out what you would have done in either case, then that's what you should be good at. If an asteroid hits the Earth tomorrow or not, you still have choices to make between now and then. Make the ones that you would make in either case, if you can manage that kind of an extreme. Then, whether it's coming or not, it's the same to you. Boom. Now, take that world where it happens, it comes. Well, you don't have to feel like you brought it because you weren't trying to believe it was coming. You just said, well, then what if it does? Well, then here are the minimum things I want to do. Even if it does, and I want to do those if it doesn't. So I found my good minimum. If I want to take into account that possibility or anything like it, and the next thing you know, you have a system for just cutting through what doesn't matter in any case, establishing what matters in every case, and then working out everything in the middle by using those to sort it. So in that case, now I've established that I'm going to do what I do, and I'm not harming anyone. I'm not stealing from anyone. I'm not oppressing anyone. But I am being, in various ways, criminally acted upon in those and other ways. It's hard to establish evidence because it's too concerted and systematic of an attack. I'm not going to go into the details. It's pointless. The people involved know, and the people who aren't probably can't do anything about it. If they could, they would have, or they will. I mean, they're not waiting for me to talk about it on YouTube. If they are, well, there you go, done, and everything else, because there's a whole lot on there besides that should have been a clue anyway. And then finally, if they're not involved at all, and there's nothing to do with them, what's the point? What's the point of sharing my burdens or my troubles with others? Unless they directly pretend to care about me. And if they can't put up with all my venting, then they can go to hell. Really, seriously. I'm at least going to be me. in every universe that I'm in. And that universe, if the whole goddamn universe hates me, I don't give a shit. Including the one that made it. If I'm not doing wrong. Now, if I am, where's my conscience in the matter? If not, why was I even bothered? I should have just been programmed accordingly. If it's up to my conscience, why does it not make me feel guilty or ashamed right now? Though I do know what should make someone feel guilty or ashamed, and I talk about it quite a bit. How come those who I often find trying to wag fingers are people that would love to put their fingers up a child's butt? Just to be gross about it and make it shocking. Because there are people that do that. Do you need Chris Hansen to explain it to you? Well then, why don't you just take a seat over there? People, you know, that's the chair for the people that are just going to be dense. In his case, it's for people that are dense about why Chris Hansen is talking to them and not some 14-year-old girl or boy. It's amazing how many of them are in the boys. I don't even understand this. But, or girls. But I mean, really? I mean, does this person hate himself completely? But I mean, I've heard of arranged marriages to young teenage girls to older men in the ancient days, or I guess during some period when that was somehow custom in some group somewhere. But look, fuck it. I mean, that should not be going on, period. And you know what else shouldn't be going on? Condoning that stuff by looking the other way just because a prime minister or someone else does it. Banker, news reporter, anyone, or an entertainer. I see a lot of looking the other way. I see a lot of jokes. You know, Jimmy Savile, he fixed it for a lot of people. Better think about that. Like the BBC, huh? You love it? You love it? Love your Fox, huh? So you don't want to look at it. You just want to keep eating it and eating it and eating it and eating it. It tastes good. Finally, they're going to say, that shit is shit. Tootsie Rolls are children's innocence, eaten and then defecated into these little bitty aspartame-packed pills that are given to you by priests disguised as authority figures. And you ate it. Don't talk. The Lord of Judgment will present to you what you've done on both sides. You will just admit it. But yeah, if you condone it, permit it, you don't ever raise up a voice or finger against it, then you're as guilty as those who do it. You really are. And I'm not going to get to people's holy books, because I'll take your holy book and I'll tear it to pieces in front of you, and then I'll burn it and I'll shit on it. Don't bother me with your holy book. You want your holy book to be respected? Keep it away from me. I will not respect it. It's not respectable. If I find one thing in it that's wrong or evil, I'm throwing the whole goddamn thing out into the bin. I don't want it. I don't want any of it. I don't care what it is. I don't care where it's from. I don't care where it was dug up from or what vault it was brought out of. I don't have time to dig through other people's sewage looking for a diamond or two. I found enough truth by looking into my own soul, looking at the world, and learning the best I could from what you have to learn from experience, and remembering the best I could what is innate to the soul and spirit. I've done enough of that. I don't need to dig through other people's delusional holy books, because there might be something I already know in it. Or something that, look, I don't need it. I don't need to learn right and wrong from a bunch of organic robots. Even if at one time someone that knew right from wrong said something and they wrote it down. I still don't even need that. Who do you think wrote that down for you? Someone that understood it. And who do you think they wrote it down for? You really? No, not actually. They wrote it down for someone that could be trusted to say, oh, the rest of this is garbage. What's all this crap? Doesn't even make sense. I'll take these few things, but dude, I'm done with this. Is there something else to read? That's who they were talking to. People that could do that, not you. You know who you are. So, the sycophants of the world know where they stand with me. I've clarified that for sure. And I told the people who love truth that, look, your relationship is with that and with yourself, not with me in any way. So, you don't have to take it from me at all, ever. And I'm not presenting myself as an authority. The truth is the authority. It's sufficient. The substance of what is said is sufficient. And I'm not going to go into matters of establishing credibility in any way like that, because that's, again, I'm not dealing with the pogues of the world, the cowards, the sycophants. I'm not going through their turnstiles of delusion. And there's no one there for me to convince or talk to or care about anyway. We're past that.